Now for our network-wide series, A Nation Divided, a focus on existing racial and socioeconomic divides often magnified by this pandemic. Tonight, we want to take you to the community many are calling ground zero for COVID-19 in Chicago. Residents here have dealt with issues like food insecurity for years. But tonight, an anonymous network of Black donors are stepping up to help their own. And their donations are changing lives in communities across the country. Our Deborah Roberts reports.
Jackie Gordon walks the same Chicago track every day, circle after circle, alone.
So much happens to us that nothing really surprises you anymore.
Alone and neglected is how many in this community have felt for years, stuck in a circle of poverty that existed long before this pandemic.
In this area, I think that we don't have a lot of the resources that we need to have, whether it's dealing with health, whether it's dealing with food, or dealing with just everyday things that people, necessities that we have to have.
Nikia Love has lived in Chicago's Auburn Gresham neighborhood her entire life. In the 40s, her grandparents helped integrate the block, a community now 96% Black.
Everyone is a close net because we've all just been here for so long.
Auburn Gresham saw the first COVID-19 death in the state, but this certainly isn't the first time it has dealt with adversity. What was life like in Auburn Gresham even before COVID?
Well, prior to, there was still economic issues. Businesses were closing. Two of the main businesses, one was a grocery store, Save-A-Lot. They shut down in January. So that was walking distance for a lot of residents.
If you look at the surrounding area, you will see there's no grocery stores. The only type of grocery store that we do have is considered Walgreens.
Unemployment here nearly 30%, and that's before the 1 in 4 Americans who lost a job in the pandemic. What is it like being furloughed and not being at work at this moment?
It is challenging. So the first thing that went into my mind was, how am I getting ready to feed my child every day, all day?
Nikia worries about her 12-year-old daughter. She is not alone.
I would say right now there is a very strong need for food.
Food insecurity on the rise, not just in Chicago, but cities and states around the country.
I'm scared, to be quite honest with you.
Shardea Fuqua lives in Detroit with her 1-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son.
Can you point to a letter, Chloe? Wow.
Since the pandemic began, according to the Brookings Institute, 17% of moms with children 12 and under say their kids are not eating enough because they can't afford food. That's a 460% jump from 2018.
In my community in Detroit urban areas, is not a lot of opportunities to have really healthy food. I'm going to be really clear and honest with you. I live in Highland Park, Michigan. They do sell foods that are not maybe expired and high-priced foods.
For a lot of people, having the kids at home, it's like, well, we've got to be more creative. We've got to make sure they're not bored. Those are the biggest concerns. But in your community, the concerns are much greater than that.
Absolutely, the concerns are greater. I can't think about creative activities because I'm thinking about, I'm about to get evicted. I know I need to feed you today.
It's taken a virtual village to help parents like Shardea. She was among 200 families offered a $500 grant by Focus Hope, a Detroit charity helping with essentials and missed bills.
That money really supported me with bills.
Money that likely wouldn't have arrived if not for an anonymous network of Black donors with means.
What we really understand is that as a community, we have to take care of ourselves. We can't rely on anyone else to take care of ourselves.
Scott Mills, president of BET, realized how the virus was hitting communities of color early on and sprung into action.
While the country was focused on how this was going to impact the country at large, we very specifically focused on, holy cow, the effect of this on the African-American community is going to be uniquely devastating because it's going to compound these pre-existing conditions.
Pre-existing conditions like food insecurity. And while the daily struggle among African Americans is real, there are those in the top tier, CEOs, business executives, others who want to give back. An Urban Institute study found of any race, Black families contributed the largest proportion of their wealth to charities.
We started with the goal of raising $5 to $10 million, recognizing that the economic environment was so challenging. With the support of this group, we've secured over $17 million of commitments of support. And that it was in a matter of weeks. It was extraordinary.
$17 million dispatched all across the country, from Los Angeles to New Orleans to the Greater Auburn Development Corporation in Chicago. What if the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation wasn't helping right now? What would life be like during this pandemic?
I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you, because when I say to you, my first thought was, how can I feed my child? My second thought was, how am I getting ready to pay my rent?
A charity rapidly changing how it operates. Just last week, starting weekly food pantries. And Monday, more than 2 months after the first COVID death, the organization opening its first community testing site.
You will have your results within 24 to 48 hours, all right?
Results from its leaders, what the community has been hoping for decades.
Where do we go from here? Because as soon as it ends, we're still in the same predicament.
A circle of poverty that those who are able are desperately trying to break.
If there's something positive that we can extract from this, it is this call to arms to address these structural deficiencies and these structural barriers that are impacting our community. Because something will happen after COVID. This is not the end. And we really have to make sure that our community is better positioned to prosper in good times and to not suffer disproportionately in difficult times.
Would it surprise you to know that there are a lot of people of color who are privileged, who have contributed to make sure a fund like this is there for people in your neighborhood?
No. I think we are very intelligent people. I think we are a very educated ethnic group. I'm grateful to hear that, to know that. It actually encourages me even more to keep going. And maybe one day I will be on the other side helping the next person, giving back to my community.
Deborah Roberts, ABC News.
Our thanks to Deb for that report.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.